Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do kind of a midweek. I know it's going to be Thursday when I release this. I'm doing it on Wednesday. I'll look at commodities. I'll do the overall stock market. Look at those things. Maybe we'll dive into a couple other things that I think look kind of good. And I'll share my financial opinion with you guys and what's going on. So we're going to dive into some charts. I'll give you kind of an overall stock market update, show you what it's doing. And maybe we go into a couple other random stuff. So here is the commodity index. I just wanted to show this. Big picture view, we've got the falling wedge pattern. I'm going to get off log here. Falling wedge pattern. We are just rocketing higher. This is a unbelievable move and rotation of money. And even I back, when I was opened the channel in 2020, calling for precious metals bull market and commodity bull market and buying the 2020 oil and uranium stocks and all that stuff. I didn't think it'd go this fast, but you know what? We're in the middle of the in the middle of the move, and that's when things heat up. So it's looking fantastic from this perspective. I hope it doesn't get too heated. We might have a pullback at some point. We've been moving on up here. We had a pullback here. Looks like we just continue higher. Inflation, money flows, everything's flowing and going into these commodity companies. And, we bottom at 100-year lows on the channel. So congratulations to anyone who's been on the channel for the beginning of this channel back in 2020. We got pretty close to the bottom of the bottom, and we've been hanging on. So good job there. Looking at the overall market, the thesis of the channel was that we were going to have a pullback in technology companies and maybe even the overall stock market. So looking at those types of companies, I'm almost there. We got a lot on here. So this is the S&P 500. Again, this does look like it's rolling over. We've got a challenging environment that is coming up. And keep in mind, guys, that this could be kind of a downtrend line. We could come back and do a retest move and then break even higher. And I'm not calling for this to be, maybe this is the ultimate top up here. Maybe it's not. I don't want to try picking tops. I don't want to be, if I blow a call, I don't want you guys to be like, he didn't get this. He didn't nail this one call to the T. Therefore, none of, all of his other stuff isn't valid. So I don't want to be calling tops per se, but this is going to go into a chopping sideways action. Is this going to top and go all the way back down to, 2,300 or something? Maybe. I don't know what the path looks like, but it's got a broken up trend line. The pattern's broken to the downside. The weird thing is when you have massive amounts of inflation in the system, you might not see this crash in dollar terms. The dollar might be the next thing that takes the hit, and the asset, the S&P 500, may just trade sideways in kind of a sideways movement as its value gets sucked out of the dollar and as its value loses purchasing power against commodities, precious metals, and other assets. So I don't want to be calling that you're going to get this huge crash in the S&P 500 in dollar terms, because your dollar could get annihilated at some point, and the nominal value of the S&P 500 doesn't go anywhere. You're just getting all the value sucked out of it. Same with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has broken to the downside. We've had this kind of surge higher recently. It doesn't look good. I would not be buying this chart with anyone's money. That's just me. This does not look like attractive. Now, if I were to flip this over, mirror it, and mirror it the other way across, like if I were to mirror this entire pattern across this line here where it was down here, then I'd be like, hey, it looks really good. But this here, it doesn't look like something I'd want to buy. Chipotle, it's another one that's, logarithmic wise, we've been breaking to the downside. It's been chopping sideways. We've got Apple here. And nothing against Apple. They sell. They're a powerhouse, no doubt. They are a powerhouse of cash. And yeah, we'll see where this goes with increasing interest rates. Increasing interest rates prices all this, and we'll take a look at interest rates at the end here. Amazon, we've got this return move almost to the top here. We'll see where it goes from here. So we came up kind of just chopping sideways. I know a lot of people are very pro technology. They think that this stuff's just going to go straight higher. Increasing interest rate environment with higher commodity prices, these margins are going to get squeezed, and the way that these companies get valued are going to be valued differently through the lens of higher interest rates. So I'm not as positive as, say, maybe some other people. Facebook getting kind of hammered here. Google, I've got the rounding top. They came out with some earnings here, and that didn't save them. They're still chopping sideways. Baidu, moving on sideways. Visa, again, this is broken its big pattern to the downside, and it's just chopping sideways like it's lost. It's a lost puppy. Mastercard, same thing. We're getting this kind of megaphone type pattern. It doesn't know what to do. Wants to go up, wants to go down, and it's gyrating more violently up and down with time. But I think it's going to resolve itself down, sideways to lower. The trade desk, it's got this kind of false breakout. It's making a lower high, and we'll see. Made a little bit lower low. It's hanging on, but not very well. Roku's already bugged out. That thing's going down. It's trying to find support somewhere. It's not doing too well, though. The 10-year yield, this is basically what I'm talking about in terms of pricing assets. This could pull back in the very short term, but overall, we've had higher lows and higher highs. We broke out of this guy here. Broke out, did a retest, and now we're moving on up. And obviously, nothing goes in a straight line, guys, but a higher 10-year yield, the stock market does not like that. And obviously, the bond market doesn't either. So we've got that. Scrolling on down, maybe looking at some potential opportunities. We've got Intrepid Potash. I don't know if I'd be buying it this second, but it looks like we still got some good momentum here. But from a big picture view, this thing looks absolutely fantastic. We really nailed this one. So good job to everyone on the channel here. That's a really solid one. A Mosaic is also just absolutely dominating it. We'll go off log here. It's been moving on up, and this thing could move way higher, guys. Way up there. If we took the logarithmic perspective, I mean, we could. This is log, remember? We could go all the way up to $500 a share. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Seed's doing quite well as well. Seed's one that we kind of are putting in the booty bottom here at the bottom, and I did buy some. This was a subscriber pick. And you know what? It doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. Some people are talking about STNG Scorpio tankers. It looks pretty dang good. It really does. Downtrend line, we've broken it. We've come on back, and it's starting to head higher. Here's the daily candlesticks. It is moving on up. It looks really strong, guys. Yeah, looks good. TK Shipping. This guy is coiling on up into the corner. I don't own any of these guys, but this one is coiling up. Other ones that I think look pretty good. I was at CENX. This was one I talked about, the aluminum company. Big old pattern here. I'm gonna go to the logarithmic real quick. Big old pattern. We've broken this to the upside, and it's running. It's cheetah running. So anyone's in that, good job. ACH is still inside of its pattern. It will release the cheetah at some point, and this thing will run, I think. Looking at the daily candlesticks, it's still hanging out. I know some people are afraid of Chinese companies, but that's their thing. Vedanta looks really good on a long-term perspective here. There's the logarithmic. It's looking really good for a move higher. Fantastic looking charts, guys. Alcoa also moving higher. Fantastic move. I wouldn't be chasing it up here, but very strong company there. Looking at, some of these graphite companies, there's a couple in there that look good. Looking at some of the shipping companies, and I share this on my Finding Value website channel. You can view all of these charts on the website. One that just recently broke out is GNK. Does this look familiar to Intrepid Potash? Sure looks like it, but this one is looking very good. I've got other ones. It pays a 12.56% dividend. You start looking at the quarterly earnings, their earnings and their net income is rapidly increasing. The volume's kicking up on the right-hand side. I've got a couple, a whole bunch of other picks that I share on the website. I don't want to share the charts here, but they look absolutely excellent, and graphite looks excellent. There's a lot of gold and silver companies that look excellent. Some of the ETFs, looking at Moo, because I know some people wanted some. Moo is killing it. This is an agricultural ETF. I don't know if I'd be buying it way up here, but man, it's looking really strong. Looking at something like a COPX, or here's an REMX. I'm right next to it. REMX has moved up. I don't know how well correlated REMX is to some of the other like technology companies. I don't know how that fits in here, but if we're going to an electric vehicle batteries, this is a really good ETF. I own, a good amount in it. I also own COPX. This is the copper one. I was buying in here and it's broken out. It looks really good from a long-term perspective. There's your booty bottom. It usually breaks and consolidates, and then we break again and run. So I could easily see this going to $60 or higher in this copper bull market. So this guy's running. It looks fantastic. Looking at TAN, solar ETF, it's still consolidating. This does have that double booty bottom. It is consolidating here. We've got a lot of buying and selling pressure all in this area. So, maybe we consolidate and then we break higher. Looking at the daily candlesticks, it does look like it's trying to put in a bottom. It does. And I can't tell you guys how much money to put where, but, I don't have a ton in TAN. I've got it mainly in the minerals that support renewables and electric vehicles. That's kind of how I'm playing it. Looking at URNM, another ETF, it is just chilling right above its, this is the support line here. Sorry, there's the support line. This is a funnel type pattern that's expanding. We could break to the upside at any point and have a massive run. The volume is kicking up on the right-hand side. There's your daily candlesticks. We're right above that support area. We could pull back and touch it, but it's moving along. XOP, or here's OIH. This guy's looking good, looks fantastic from a long-term perspective, this ETF. So that looks really good for a large move to the upside. XOP's the oil and gas exploration companies. We've got the long-term downtrend line break, and we're moving on up. It looks fantastic from this perspective. We're right there trying to break out of this last resistance area. All these look incredibly good, guys. They all look incredibly good. GDX is also breaking to the upside, backing out. I mean, this thing looks fantastic. I own a little bit in all these, but I am what has me, guys. I am in amazement at how well everything looks just across the board. They're all breaking patterns. We're all sitting on top of things, and some of them are starting to run. So we could see this could be like a 2, 3, 4, 5 year like big move ahead of us. And my take, I'm still buying as much as I can. I've got, in fact, it's very hard to discern what I should be buying. There's so many opportunities right now. They're everywhere. And I've been charting for the website and putting up, weekly type things. I'm trying to get exposure to other things. I don't want to be too heavily in one because the opportunities could be so large in some of these areas that I don't want to miss those moves. I want to capture the gain with what I think are some of the best companies. Maybe I'm only buying one or two of the companies that I think are best in each of these sectors that are, I call it tertiary sectors, that like something like a graphite. Maybe I buy one or two companies, load up kind of bigger in those. Pick one of my one or two favorite lithium companies, load up on those. And I don't spread out as much. Uranium, I'm spread out. I own like everything in uranium. I think uranium is going to do an incredible move. I also own a lot of the ETFs in rare earth metals. I own a couple of rare earth metal companies. I own, I own some smaller gold and silver, mainly silver companies. And then I own a lot of the kind of mutual fund type things and royalty companies in the precious metals. So I'm spreading my bets. I'm trying to think, what's my portfolio weighting? I'm really heavy in oil right now. Not because I I overweighted it in the beginning and then it just blew up. Like I made massive amounts of money over there. Uranium's holding its own. It's not as big as my oil holdings just because oil has appreciated more than uranium at the current time since early mid 2020s. And then my gold mining companies and royalties have not performed as well as the oil and uranium. And I don't expect it to, but I mean, I do later. I don't expect it in this time of the bull market. I do think that they're gonna turn on the heat soon. We're breaking out of this pattern here, and it's what I'm doing is I'm kind of slowing down on the oil, adding into that. I went into oil very heavily in the beginning, the oil exploration companies. Then I went into energy service companies and uranium kind of in there. Now I'm looking at stuff that's kind of behind it. What will do well? Energy service companies, shipping companies, like commodity type shipping companies. I think gold, like the gold mining stuff, is going to do very well. So I've been adding more money into these. I've been pumping my 401k with the precious metals. It's OGMYX is the mutual fund that I've been putting money into. I've been kind of putting that here recently. And then the shipping companies I've been looking at here recently as well, the dry bulk shipping companies, I've been adding into those. I'm trying to pick some bottoms in some of them. I'm trying my best. Uranium still looks good. I would still buy. The oil companies, I have to see some pull back a little bit. I'm so massively overweight in it because of how much they've gone up. I'm reluctant to add more into it. The billionaires would say, buy into strength, buy into what works and what is working. That makes sense. That's what the billionaires would say, and that's what some of their advice would be, is to buy into strength. But I agree, but we're also seeing strength everywhere. So it's difficult to really say which sector is the best, which is the worst, because they're all having their time. And the time for some of these, I think, is coming very soon. So I'm adding into, personally, shipping companies. I'm looking at some of those. I'm looking at graphite. I'm looking at lithium, even though lithium's had a pretty good run. I'm not going to put too much money there. And then the precious metals area. So that's what I'm kind of looking at, guys. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe to the website below if you guys like this stuff. I chart a whole bunch of stuff in the shipping area, in the graphite area, and all sorts of stuff. I put it on the website. Take a look at it. You have to sign up to look at it. You have to be a platinum member to see all of my picks and all these chartings. We do have a Zoom call coming up on Saturday, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Universal Standard Time. If that interests you, you have to subscribe. You have to be a platinum member for that. And then you guys can ask away your questions. I can go over a lot of these things and tell you what companies I think are the best for me and what I'm adding into, and you guys can get your, you can do whatever you want with that information. Thanks for listening. See you next time. This is Finding Value.